Wouldn't it be really crazy, Joe? Just crazy. If that report 112 was really information from Simpson when the FBI swore it came from Steele, and those emails that have been wiped between Simpson's company, Fusion and Steele, magically just disappeared, that would just be crazy. Just nuts. Just nuts. Ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Steele, who wrote this fake dossier, was a real dossier with fake information. He only spoke to one source, his PSS, primary subsource. Get a load of this. Truck Ross, exclusive, Daily Caller. Dossier author Steele testified his emails were wiped. Wow, isn't that convenient, Joe? He no longer has any documents related to his primary source, who's the only one he actually spoke to, by the way. Weird. Isn't that crazy? The only primary source he speaks to, it's just wiped out? Whoa. That seems really odd, doesn't it? Yeah. Let's go to the screenshot from this piece. What's going on here? There's a lawsuit Steele's involved in. People are suing him for his dossier, or suing his company. So Steele told a British court last month in this lawsuit that they got a hold of the deposition here, that he no longer has the documents and other information from his meetings with his main source of the dossier, suggesting that Steele has no way of backing up his side in a dispute with the DOJ Inspector General, according to a deposition obtained by the Daily Caller. Steele also told the court that his communications regarding the dossier, including with Fusion GPS, oh, that's important, oh, yes, were wiped in December and January of 2017, the transcript shows. Now, you may be saying, that's pretty significant, no? They're taking the Hillary Clinton model, Joe. You know, the bleach bit. Why did you wipe it with a cloth? Remember that? All those emails magically disappeared. But don't worry, Joe. They were about yoga and weddings. How do we know that? Because Hillary Clinton told us. And she's always to be believed, of course. Hillary Clinton never lies. That's about as hilarious as Trump when he tells everybody about their hoaxes. Nobody actually believes that. But Steele's emails, with his only source he actually spoke to, have magically disappeared and were wiped? Why? That's not even the biggest tactical nuke here. The when it happened is going to blow your mind. I promise, man. It is going to bake your bagels. It is going to rattle your marbles right now. Let's go to the second screenshot from this piece. I'll explain what I mean. I'm going to have to go back to this screenshot a couple times because there's so much in here that if you read it quickly, you'll miss it. Screenshot 2 from Chuck Ross's piece. Now, I'm going to read the first half first because it's not even a long one. It's just so many nuggets in here that I got to get through it in pieces. So he says first, Steele, quote from the Chuck Ross piece, Steele said he had no records related to the creation of his dossier memos, including Report 112. Remember, the dossier is a compilation of reports from the dossier, which dealt with with the Alpha Bank owners. You have no record of anything, have you? Tomlinson asked. I haven't got any records relating to the creation of 112, said Steele. So, come back to me here Thank you. So he has a memo in his dossier, memo number 112, Report 112. Report 112 seems to have disappeared, amongst others. Now, remember what I told you in that prior thing, that he seems to have wiped clean his emails with Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson too. Well, what is Report 112 about? Report 112 is about Alpha Bank. Now, many of you regular Dan Bongino show listeners have the thinking caps on, have already put 2 and 2 together. Wow, that sounds awfully suspicious. Report 112 is about Alpha Bank. Wasn't Alpha Bank the primary concern of Glenn Simpson from Fusion GPS when he wrote this gem of a piece back in 2007, when he was a reporter in the Wall Street Journal? There it is. There it is right there. There it is. How lobbyists help ex-Soviets woo Washington by Glenn Simpson and Mary Jacoby, his now wife, updated April 17th, 2007, not 2017. So Glenn Simpson wrote this article in the Wall Street Journal 13 years ago. Glenn Simpson, the guy who owns Fusion GPS, whose emails with Steele, Joe, have been wiped. As Steele wrote a report, 112, about Alpha Bank, when Glenn Simpson seems to have been concerned about Alpha Bank all the way back in 2007. This is weird. 2007 piece, Wall Street Journal, Glenn Simpson, talking about this member of the Russian cabinet and his close ally Putin. They used a Washington PR consultant, and they're under federal investigation in the U.S. over money laundering, and is locked in a high-stakes battle with Moscow conglomerate Alpha for control of a Russian telecommunications empire. Alpha has paid Barbara Griffith and Rogers, a lobbying firm, nearly $2 million in lobbying fees. This is really strange. How Glenn Simpson, when he was a journalist, alleged journalist at the Wall Street Journal, 13 years ago, is writing a piece about Alpha Bank in Russia. 13 years later, a guy he pays to put together a hoax dossier, Christopher Steele, writes a memo about Alpha, number 112, that's just magically disappeared along with Steele's communications with Fusion GPS and Glenn Simpson. Why does that matter? Oh, again, you regular listeners, you're figuring it out right now, aren't you? Because we've been told the whole time Steele wrote the dossier. It is called the Steele dossier. It's not called the Simpson dossier. Well, Dan, I don't get it. Why would it matter if Simpson or Steele wrote the dossier? Because the FBI swore in court that Christopher Steele wrote the dossier. Because Christopher Steele was a former British intelligence agent who worked on the Russia desk, who had the street cred in front of a FISA judge. If the FBI swore Steele wrote it, that it was to be believed because a former spy who worked in Russia, he wrote it. Therefore, it's definitely real. Def. No diggity. But if Simpson, in fact, wrote the dossier or contributed information about Alpha Bank, he seemed to be very concerned about Alpha Bank 13 years ago. And Report 112 is primarily information from Simpson. And the FBI put their right hand up in court and said, I swear this information came from a spy who has influence in Russia, but it really came from a journalist who used to work at the Wall Street Journal. Oh boy, you're in a lot of trouble. That'd be like me swearing at court that Armacost robbed the bank, saying I heard it from Bobby, when in fact I heard it from a guy who doesn't like Joe from their childhood because Joe was a better guitarist than him. Kind of a different story, no?
Yep.
Magic how that one report seems to have really disappeared, along with their emails with Fusion too. Wouldn't it be really crazy, Joe? Just crazy. If that Report 112 was really information from Simpson when the FBI swore it came from Steele, and those emails that have been wiped between Simpson's company, Fusion and Steele, magically just disappeared, that would just be crazy. Nuts. Just nuts.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud, and follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 at DBongino.